Okay, welcome to Wednesday night basement door interviews, and we have got Hive Mentality, or Mentals, I call them. Hive Mentals, Hive Mentality are here. We've got Link and Ruby, and maybe Zoe's going to join us in a little while, so we're going to see if she joins us. So, guys, do you want to just introduce yourselves and what you do in the band, so we know what you actually do in the band? That'd be cool.
Um,
Link, you want to go first?
sure. I'm my name's Link, and I'm like the crackpot front woman. I like eccentric. I write like a lot of the lyrics, but I also play guitar and do vocals.
Cool. Ruby?
I'm Ruby. Are you done?
No, carry on.
Um,
Sometimes.
oh yeah, this online thing is weird, but yeah, I'm Ruby. I'm the drummer of the band, and I write some of the songs as well. Link's written most of them, but I've written a few, and I join on vocals sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you said like so, and who's missing from the band at the moment? We've got here. So Zoe might be coming in, and the other guy is
Yeah, well, we had Chris. Although our band is kind of transitioning at the moment.
Okay.
We've all got quite a few different things on the horizon, so the lineup may change, or we're not exactly sure.
Okay. Okay, that's all right. But that happens, doesn't it? And then but as long as you all stay friends, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So
But Zoe's the second guitarist at the moment, but hopefully she'll be taking on more of a role.
okay, sounds good. Sounds like you're planning this out, doesn't it? Sounds pretty good. So the band is a punk band. Is that how you describe your band? I would describe you as a punk band, but how would you describe yourselves?
I'd say punk, because that's like the genre I was raised on. Like I'd say like if we were put in a category, it would be like maybe post punk, but I'm not actually sure. Like it's up to interpretation. I reckon punk though.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all come from punk roots, and definitely when we play live, it's a punk show, but sometimes it's hard to define.
Yeah, I think there are sort of like there are bands that I don't know whether they not pretend to be punk, but they try to do punk. But you
Oh my
have
god.
to. I think if you're founded, if you've got roots in punk, and you know what punk's about, which is like the history. I mean, I was a punk when I was 14, 15, which was back in when when punk was really big. So that was back in 1977, I think it was 77, 78, and I was a punk then. It's a long time ago, but it's
My
fantastic
mum
to
was punk
see.
back then as well.
Yeah, but it's great to see that that sort of that political and stand up against things and stand up for things has carried on, and it always will. I think it was a great revolution.
I think punk has been like sort of shat upon because it's not really about what it was about back in the 70s. Like punk nowadays, like a lot of bands will adopt the label despite not being like punk, like not like with the ideals of punk. Like they'll kind of adopt the label, but I don't think it defines them, Like I think a lot of bands say they're punk, but they don't pay attention to their roots, like the original punk.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I think it has to be part of your life. I think, doesn't it? Punk. It can't just be something you get
definitely.
up on stage and do. You have to be behind the scenes, signing petitions and going out protesting. You have to do those things because that's what punk's about.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like you can't be a racist punk. You can't be a sexist punk. Like
No.
it doesn't go with everything like Joe Strummer stood for. Like
Mm,
like I
yeah.
see people say they're punk and like act like pricks, and it's like that's not what punk is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just using it as a front, but actually we have so much to learn from punk, and they clearly haven't been doing their homework.
No, no. And I think it's like, yeah, I think when you get into it, I mean, you know, I remember the feeling when I was a young man, sort of like, you know, and I remember the feeling when punk came along, and it was like, oh man, that gets me. I got that, not just the music, but just things that were going on. It was like, you know, we were out on the streets doing stuff, and, you know, making a statement and saying we want to be heard, we want to be heard, you know. And it's like, you know, and I think it's happening. It's sort of happening again soon now, with the sort of the way the politics has gone. Because I think that I don't know, none of these politicians do anything for me at the moment. They're all sort of like, man, there needs to be a radical change in the way the politics is done.
Yeah,
So yeah, but
sure. So there's definitely a place for like another punk movement. There's definitely a need for it at the moment.
I think
and it,
it's exactly what we need after all of like the past few years, like politics going downhill. Like, I think we need another punk movement for
mm,
definite, or something similar.
yeah, definitely. And I think it can be done. And music's a great platform for getting those messages across and making those statements, I think. Well, this has got very serious, isn't it? I think that's another thing. One of the things with punk is it's like this. There's an awful lot of fun to be had, but there's so much seriousness to it, and that's what I think you're alluding to when you're sort of talking about, not fake punk bands, but bands that sort of adopt the label but don't do. So they do the fun bit, but they don't come across with the serious stuff. You know, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. All right, so okay, so let's so listen, Link, you're in Iceland at the moment. So
Yeah.
phone's on. So you're in Iceland at the moment. So how long have you been in Iceland, and what you out there? Why are you out in Iceland?
I've been here for like a month and a half, um, because I was like, I like basically my mum has a bad immune system, so my dad works out here as well sometimes. So we were like, we need to escape like all of this corona stuff and go to somewhere where it's like a bit safer,
Hmm.
so we can like shield and enjoy ourselves at the same time. Obviously, it's like a privilege to be able to just go to Iceland, but it's quite nice out here. Like, there's like coronavirus hasn't hit as big as it did in England, so I'm trying to play gigs and stuff, which I probably won't be able to do in the UK for a while now. Like,
Hmm.
so we basically escaped, like ran away, um, just ran away from England.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Ruby
Um,
was here for a bit as well.
oh
And
right.
Yeah, a
yeah,
couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks
Um,
ago.
cool.
Yeah, I went to join Link. We were there for 10 days a week, 10 days, something like that.
Yeah. And
It
what's
was
this?
really great.
And
it was so
what's the weather like in Iceland? That's a rubbish question to ask, but is it good weather? Because it looks like quite sunny at the moment where you are.
it's also there's also been like rain as well. Like, it's basically like England in autumn.
Oh, okay.
Like, but it's light for most of the day and the night. Like, it's
Hmm.
only started getting dark for an hour recently. Like, before it was just the sun never set.
Oh wow, yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that because they have a long, yeah. So their summertime is actually has a long days, doesn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah, wow. Crikey,
everything
that's
starts
weird.
like late at night and ends early in the morning. Like,
Hmm.
our friends will come over at midnight and we'll leave at like 4 in the morning because it's light here. So there's not much point in doing stuff at like 6 p.m. because you're only just waking up.
Oh
I
right,
mean,
okay.
at least.
Yeah, yeah. I think we all for Link that's kind of a normal sleep schedule to have. But I think when we were all a couple of our mates were there as well. We were staying with Link. We all kind of got onto that schedule because you just find that you don't get tired, at least not at normal times because of
Wow.
it being light all night.
Yeah, it's cool. And Ruby, whereabouts are you? I mean, roughly. We don't want your postcode and your address and everything, but roughly, where are you in?
Yeah, I'm at home in London, North
In
London.
London. Cool. Okay.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Camden.
because we've had quite a few sort of bands coming down from North London, like Tracy Archways, and I suppose even Good Delusions was sort of like that, where I know the Wimbledon sort of area, but they know a lot of people up in North London. So,
Mm.
and is that where you're generally, Link? Are you actually from North Londonish or
I'm from West London, like Ladbroke Grove. Um,
okay?
like I think our band's quite spread out. Like
Yeah,
Chris lives in Ealing, like
and Zoe lives in Southeast. So
yeah,
yeah,
Zoe
we're
lives
all
like
in the
really
opposite end.
southeast.
Wow.
Um,
So how are rehearsals then? If you're quite spread out. I
Not
mean,
of any time. Yeah,
I
not of
mean
any time, but we have
the
quite a few friends that are scattered across London anyway.
yeah,
so do you
we're
do rehearsals in different places? Do you move around, do rehearsals, or do you just have one place where you go to and everyone comes to that place?
um,
We normally go to the one in West.
Okay.
Sometimes
yeah.
we go south.
One
Normally
of
it's me that has to trek the furthest. Well, actually Zoe treks the furthest, but
true. One of the like rehearsal we use Pirate Studios, and one of them's like really near me, like a 10-minute walk.
Cool.
yeah, and you still manage to be late, right?
It's a skill. I'm late to everything.
It is a skill.
It's a weird skill. But the other one's in like
Yeah,
Southfield, I think, like Wimbledon.
yeah.
And it's always like so hard to get there. Like I've tried about 7 different routes and none of them are quick.
It's a strange place, Wimbledon, sort of that area, Southfields, Wimbledon. It's a really strange way to get. I mean, if you drive, that's probably the easiest way to get there, I think. I don't, because I've tried like buses, trains, and it's all like change over here, change over there. It's a really sort of like it's cut itself off really, which is yeah,
Mm.
strange.
South
Anyway, so
London like included in the tube map because it was built on marshes apparently.
oh
Um
right.
yeah, apparently that's the reason why.
Yes,
Because
TFL trivia.
underneath it.
Okay, so now we're gonna go and play a song. So a Hive Mentality song called Ski Mask. And where was this song recorded or
It was recorded at a studio in South London with a producer called Mark Estel. He was brilliant. I think Chris found him through some of the bands that he worked with, and yeah, we went down to Star Lane for the weekend and recorded
nice?
our latest single.
Okay, let's go and have a listen to Ski Mask. Back in a sec.
Gotta try to make it on my own. 'Cause kissing you was like kissing stone.
Okay, so that was Ski Mask by Hive Mentality. That's on Spotify. Where else is it? Available on all platforms or?
All platforms, yeah.
Yeah, it's out everywhere. And is that part of an EP or an album or anything?
Yeah, it's the second of two tracks. It's kind of the B side, but well, they're kind of like two songs that go together. They're kind of like two halves of the same song almost.
Okay,
I
that's cool.
actually wrote it like many years ago, like when I was about 14. Um, and it was the first song I'd written that I was like, all right, this is a decent song. Like, I can do something with this. And then I wrote Holly Hobby as well in the same time frame. But the band really brought it to life. Like, it sounds so much better as a full band, like with input, like suggestions. Like, they brought it to life really.
Yeah, yeah, that's really
Yeah,
cool. That must feel really good when you got a little baby and it's sort of like, and then people grow it and make it sort of something you really like, you know?
yeah. And
It's
I'm
cool.
glad it's on Spotify
Yeah, yeah,
because
Yeah, I remember when I first joined the band, I think, these two are my favourite songs since the beginning. And they've really evolved a lot and become, um, I think, really powerful. And they're still maybe my favourite songs of ours. So,
yeah.
yeah, cool. I'm happy that they're out too.
It's good.
yeah.
So, what is Ski Mask about? I mean, what is the gist of it?
I mean, I always, I'm weird because I write a song with seemingly random lyrics, and then I kind of realize it actually does have a meaning, like a while after. Like I kind of think about it, and I'm like, shit, that, that relates to this part of my life. That's why I wrote it. Ski Mask is about like sort of a toxic codependent relationship.
Hmm.
So like you're so dependent on each other, but that's not love. Like if you're dependent on each other, like that's what it's basically about, like dependency in any way, shape or form,
Yeah,
which is a topic I explore a lot in some of my songs.
it's interesting because codependency is basically what I would need from the other person. Love is what I can give to the other person. There's a
Yeah,
complete reversal of, if you love somebody, you're always wanting to give to that person, no matter what they give back to you, it doesn't matter. And then codependency is the other way around. It's like, I need you to give me this because that helps me. And it's like, it's just really, yeah, like you're saying, it's quite toxic because it drains both parties really, so
you, you can't use a relationship to fill something in your life that's missing, and that's something that like I think a lot of people have to learn because, like, when you're a teenager, like a young teenager, it's sort of like it's like relationships aren't portrayed in a good way in the media
mm,
sometimes, and it's like you need to figure that out on your own. But there's actually like a French phrase for it, like that kind of sums up this song. I can't speak French like
yeah.
at all, but it's fully a do. Like, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, but basically it means the madness of two. Um,
Okay,
and that's sort of the premise of this song.
cool. So that's really
Yeah,
good because that's sort of a subconscious lyric writing then. It's sort of like, so you've actually, writing a song and then looking at it going, oh, actually that, if something comes out after you've written it down, maybe, it's like that you realize, like you just said. So it's sort of subconscious stylizing. I don't know.
yeah, like it's like therapy in a way. Like
Mm,
writing, like that's always been like my sort of therapy. Like it's sort of helped me work through stuff. Just writing song lyrics, and like it's so therapeutic sometimes, and
yeah.
you realize stuff about yourself that you didn't really know before.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think that's like, I mean, I don't know. When I went to uni, it was all, we did a lot of like self-reflection, sit back and go, right, you've just written a paper, you've put an argument forward or whatever. Why do you believe those sort of things, and where does that belief come from? And where are your desires from, and all those sort of things. Self-reflection is really important, and knowing that you sort of like knowing why you do things and understanding why you do things is very important in life, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a serious fucking interview, isn't it? It's like we need to try and have a bit of laugh in a minute, but it's like I really like it because actually it's interesting, that you've got everyone's got these thoughts and everything, and it's like we have to talk about things, don't we? So
You kind of have a tendency to be like either absolutely ridiculous and just laughing and making jokes, or like the complete opposite and just really serious and like deeping life and deeping the universe. Like we're
well,
always
yeah.
one or the other.
I was
Yeah.
wondering how this was going to go because I thought I've met you a few times and it's been a bit chaotic, to be honest. But it's like,
Yeah, it has been a
but
bit
that's the fun
chaotic.
of it. And then it's sort of like, and I think, I wonder how this is going to go with Hive Mentality. But yeah, it's good. It's good.
Oh, we disappointing.
Not at
Too
all.
serious.
No, not at all. It's good to see the other side, the serious side as well. So we understand that there's like more to you than just crazy, crazy people.
A bit of chaos is like eating vegetables. Like,
Okay.
like it's kind of important. It's kind of important to have a bit of chaos sometimes, but not everyone does it.
Right.
Like,
Oh, right. Okay. I see.
yeah, like some people don't eat vegetables.
I'll get
Um,
it from.
yeah, but you probably should.
Yeah, definitely should. Yeah, I don't eat enough vegetables. I should eat more. But yeah, I'm always being told that. But I changed my diet a few months ago, and it's a lot better for me. But yeah, we live and learn. So
Yeah,
Ruby, what do you? I mean, you write some of these songs as well, don't you? So how's your writing? How do you get your writing involved? I mean, what do you do?
um, well, I write lyrics that are not songs. I kind of just write like stream of consciousness, like probably every day at least a little bit. Or when there's something on my mind, I definitely, as Link said, um, I often just write stuff out as a way of processing stuff, and also kind of um, if you kind of like fictionalize or turn what's happening in your life into art in a way, it's a way of taking control, I guess. So yeah, I write a lot, but it doesn't always turn into songs. I find the musical part a lot harder. So I think being in a band has helped me because Lincoln, Chris, and Zoe, um, we can write the musical part together. Um, so there's been a couple of songs that I've written that have turned into fully formed songs that I would actually want to put in front of people, and those are the first ones of my life that I've felt are complete. Um, and that's definitely something that I've learned since being in the band with these lot.
Cool. That's really
Yeah.
good. That's really cool. It's
Yeah,
just I think it's sometimes when you get a band together and you get the right people and it's the just the different influences in life that draw into that central part of it, and then you can draw out of that pot
Mm-hmm.
and
And
everyone can gain from it, can't they, and learn from it, and you know and give to it as well, So yeah, it's good.
yeah, I mean, Link, I think are definitely going to be collaborating like for the rest of our lives because
Mm.
we're very close and we write a lot together. Like even when we're just hanging out, sometimes we'll be bouncing ideas.
I think I've known that since the first time I met you.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah.
So I just want to go back to your sort of like you mentioned earlier about you were brought up with both of you said you were brought up with punk and stuff like that. So what are I mean, who are the main punk artists or that you sort of like? I take it it's mums and dads that have been brought this along with you, sort of like yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, my
my mom.
dad.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
sorry, you go.
no, you go first if you want. Yeah,
Okay. My mom she grew up in London and she was a punk probably around the same time as you, maybe
Mm,
a little bit later, beginning of the 80s. She loved Susie Sue and The Clash.
mm, mm,
Um, and I mean, there was definitely a wide variety of stuff, but my dad also, he was a music producer, and he listens to literally everything you could ever think of. I've heard around the house since I was little,
Mm.
like probably more classic rock, like the Stones and that kind of stuff, and but also punk.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
it sort of settles people of my age, and that probably we sort of settle into the sort of R&B and the stuff more later on. We listened to it when we were younger, but things like punk sort of like they're a big influence, but then you sort of like land in 30s and 40s and 50s into the Rolling Stones because they're a little bit older than us, and and, uh, and you're sort of still looking up to them and everything. So it's like, yeah, yeah, it's cool. What about you, Link? What's your
I mean, my dad was like a punk like when the movement first started. Like when he was a teenager, he was like a hardcore punk.
mm,
Like he's played me a lot of punk, like Susie Sue and the Clash, like Ruby said. Like those are really good bands. And my dad was like around for like stuff like that. And also the Sex Pistols. Um, People say they're like really overrated, but they sort of like birthed the punk movement, made it mainstream.
yeah,
And
I
then
agree. You have to respect the classics, like
mm,
even though they're the most like maybe the most obvious choice, but some people um would say like, oh, I don't know, you have to respect the classics.
mm,
yeah,
Sure.
I love the Slits and the Buzzcocks as well.
mm,
Like
Yeah.
the Slits are really amazing.
yeah,
And there's this band called the Adverts. Not a lot of people,
yeah.
I don't know if people heard of them. Like I don't know if they're
They
popular,
had
but
they had one big song I think, and then but they did quite a lot of other stuff. But yeah, I think they had one big song, didn't they? Adverts, yeah.
my dad also raised me on like a bit of everything. Like some of the stuff that stuck with me is like Northern Soul.
Mm.
Like I bloody love Northern Soul. Like
Oh, I
that's
love,
like
yeah.
I'd say it's up there in like the top three of my favorite genres. And like my dad showed me like Quadrophenia um
Mm,
a few years ago, and it just stuck with me. And
Mm.
I was like, mods are so cool. Um, and now I like and now I dress in suits some of the time.
you need
Because
to
I
get a
think
tonic. You need to get a tonic suit then. So that was the shimmery one. That's a two tone
yeah,
suit, which is called a tonic suit. It's a tonic material, so it basically has a copper and green or a
yeah, like
blue and
a
silver,
bit of
whatever.
both. My prized possession is actually one of those. I have like
Wow.
a tonic suit. It's from like 69, 71.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's a
Wow.
mod suit, but some people would argue it was like more skinheads era. But um, yeah,
Mm.
it's one of my prized possessions, and I actually ordered it, and I was scared it wouldn't fit, and the universe aligned, so it actually fit me quite well.
Wow.
Um,
Cool.
but yeah, I've always like I wanted one of those tonic suits for years.
Yeah.
They're amazing. I think mods were the original punks.
It was sort of, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I remember. So, like you said about Northern Soul. So Northern Soul for me was a couple of years before punk
yeah.
that I got into it and everything. I used to do all that Northern Soul dancing. And I think I was about sort of 11 or 12 when I was doing that, so I was quite flexible and lots of energy, and I could jump around a lot. But there's a Northern Soul club in Deptford now, just over East. Do you know that?
No, actually, but I've been looking around London for those.
Yeah,
Actually,
so there's one in Deptford which I'm definitely going to go to, and when it's back open fully, because obviously it's closed at the moment with the coronavirus. But as soon as it's back open again, I'm going to head over there and have a look and that, and then see if I can pull out some of the old moves and that, But it's like, yeah,
we
so
should go that night out.
yeah, yeah, it'd
Like
be
we
great,
should
wouldn't it? It'd be
dance
great.
in South Deptford. Yeah, so I really
Um,
want to do that.
yeah, it'd be nice to sort of like, hear those old tunes again because I mean I've got lots of them sort of stored and that, but and when you hear an old tune, you think, oh yeah, that's such a really good tune in the day for dancing to. So yeah, but there was I think I went through quite a lot of culture changes when I was younger, and I suppose I don't know if there's how do you feel being at your age that sort of like have you felt that you've gone through a lot of cultures, or are you feeling that it's sort of like there's a lot of things? I don't know how to say this. Is it just this is a multicultural society and you can fit where you want to now, rather than it being a time thing where it changed when I was younger, it changed from one to another as you went through your teens and that. Whereas now I think you can sort of just well, it's over there and this part of the world and you can or this part of London you can go to and experience something. Am I getting it wrong or?
I mean,
I think,
I've been through like a lot of subcultures in my teenage years.
but I would agree with you that I don't think it's maybe not as much as in the past. It's like one dominant subculture or
Hmm.
culture, because I think, well, especially for us, because we're in like rock and punk music, so that's already like not the mainstream at the moment.
Hmm.
It's like the average teenager listening to like the most mainstream music is going to be like pop or like dance or drum and bass or something like that. And yeah, so we're already like not in the mainstream really. And you can kind of, living in London, you can kind of find any subculture you want.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's even people in our friendship group are into all different stuff, and you kind of just have to find it yourself or shape it yourself.
Cool.
Yeah.
I think in my teenage years, I've like explored a lot of subcultures, but especially in London, like I don't think there's like a divide between them anymore. Like you can like Blur and Oasis, you can like the Beatles and the Stones at the same time. Like um, I feel like I've realised like you don't need to put yourself in a box. Like you don't need to say I'm goth, I'm like emo, I'm a mod, even like a punk. You can just be a bit of everything, like and just be yourself, like make your own subculture that's individual to you. Like
Yeah,
I
I
think
get that.
it's I think it's not helpful like putting people into different subcultures because everyone's a bit different. Everyone has some tastes that in music that they're proud of and not proud of. I think it's a good mix in London.
Yeah, I think the divides have become very blurred now. It's like, I mean, even you sort of see go down to Brighton, you can see all the mods and rockers together, which,
Yeah,
I mean, I'd be what they call a, from even though I was sort of like did some mod stuff when I was younger, but then my mum and dad were, ironically, my mum and dad. So my dad was a teddy boy in Richmond's, so he had all the sort of teddy boy suits and the DA and all that, and my mum was a mod or a modette as they called it. So basically, when they got together, it was a bit of controversy because he wasn't supposed to be because he rode a Norton motorcycle, and all of her and her brother actually, my uncle Dennis, he rode a scooter with all the mirrors and lights on it and everything. So in
that's so.
Fishtail Parker. So yeah, my mum's family was sort of like mods, and my dad's family were all sort of the rocker type ones. And it's like, but they got together, and yeah, it's really strange. Yeah. So, and I see now, we see sort of like when you see
Yeah.
things go street festivals and stuff, and the mods on their scooters have come through, followed by the Hells Angels on theirs, and they all chat at the end and have a beer together, and it's like it's quite, that wouldn't have happened, and I think we have sort of melted everything together now a bit more.
Yeah, like I love mods, but teddy boys are also really cool. Like I've always wanted to get like the big drape coats.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I've always wanted one of those. Like one day when I have like the spare cash, I'm just gonna buy myself like a teddy boy suit
A zoot suit.
because Johnny Rotten in a teddy boy suit was so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good. Yeah, it was good. And so some of the punks did that, didn't they? They had zoot suits and stuff, and what was that?
Mods are kind of like I think mods inspired the punks. I
Hmm.
don't know if that's controversial, but I think they had a lot in common. Like
Yeah,
even
and
though mods were neat and punks were untidy, like they had stuff in common.
yeah, definitely. I think it was that sort of like, it was a teenage rebellion. It was they saw the system as being said that was wrong. Wherever they viewed that system from, and what they saw of the system in place, they viewed it as wrong in some parts, and so it was a way of sort of saying, actually, we don't want this,
Yeah,
we need to sort of,
they both they both wanted to like fuck the system, but a lot of subcultures did. Um, I think punk was really successful in that. But
mm,
I think most teenagers want to destroy the system. To be honest, whether they
yeah,
admit it or not. Um,
If they don't, then they're just sleepwalking. Honestly,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
honestly, they need to read a few books.
yeah, they need to open up their eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's yeah, there are sort of, you do get pulled in. I mean, the whole education system is, I've said this before, sausage mentality. It's just a sausage factory type thing. Just get them out the other end and produce what the country
It
needs, and
just gives
then,
you it just gives you like a selection of acceptable opinions to choose from. It
yeah,
doesn't really get you to think independently and question.
yeah. That only comes at university level, really, when you sort of you'll start to be asked to think
Yeah,
independently and to
even the way,
rationalize and to
even the way,
argue.
yeah,
I've watched.
even down to the way they make you just be obedient and trust authority. I think is quite
Mm,
dangerous. They
mm,
teach you to question authority.
Yeah, and I've watched
mm,
like the education system make people hate like literature because of
mm,
the way it's taught. Like I've like it's kind of common to hate reading or hate poetry. Um,
Yeah, that was so sad.
and it's
mm,
so upsetting because it's like it should be cool to like read books, like
mm.
not to be a nerd or whatever, but I think people should read because it opens up their mind. But the education system has taught us that it's like sitting in a lesson analyzing shit. Like
Yeah,
I didn't enjoy that, but it's kind of taught people to hate literature and
yeah,
like say it's not for
Yeah,
them,
from
even
having
though
to like write about what you read in one really specific way, it just
yeah,
teaches you to.
exactly. I I
yeah,
struggled with I struggled with maths at school, and I think it was in quite early on, and then my maths teacher sat me down one day and taught me Elizabethan mathematics and Russian mathematics, and it suddenly was like, oh, I quite like this. But before
yeah,
that, it had been, well, this is the English way, and this is what we teach, and blah blah. But when she started opening up different ways of doing it, I suddenly saw numbers going together easier, and it was like, oh, okay, I understand the relationships now better. No, but
yeah. Like we need to be taught like that. We need like teachers who are really passionate about what they do
mm,
in every classroom. Like the thing is, they have to work to a curriculum, and it's harmful because it's really boring. Like
yeah. Oh,
it's what happened to Ruby?
Ruby's disappeared. She'll hopefully come back in a second. Um, yeah, I get what you mean, and it's that whole sort of, like you say, it's sausage factory mentality. It's just sort of like, well, we need people that can work in an office and do accounts and do this and whatever, and this is what we need in the economy. So here's the curriculum that will produce those people for that type of work, and it's like, well, that's not education. That's just that's economics. It's like
Yeah,
so. Um, and we need to be bucking that system and saying it's just wrong. I think we're on the yeah. I've always said we're on the wrong track with the linear monetary system. We're always been on the wrong track. Welcome back, Ruby.
hi
Hi,
Ruby.
my Wi-Fi's going
Welcome back.
Okay. Yeah, and I think it's sort of like you say. It sort of needs challenging. There are some amazing small schools, Steiner schools, things like that, which have a completely different teaching method, and they I know that one of their things is they speak foreign languages above the children when they're playing all the time. The teachers do it because they're very well educated teachers. And then
on.
suddenly the children start speaking in French and Italian and blah blah, but they haven't been taught it per se. They've just picked it up because when you're young, your brain is like just going crazy for information. So the younger you can sort of like float things around them, even ideas and ideologies is good as well. To expand their universe and their understanding of, wow, we have got so fucking serious on this. It's like,
I,
It
I went
happened again.
I went to Spanish nursery when I was younger, and
Did you?
I actually, yeah, I started picking up Spanish when I was really young.
Wow,
then-
and you fast. Where did it all go?
Exactly. And then I was taught it in secondary school for a few years, and I don't remember any of that. But yeah, when I was 2, I sort of knew Spanish. I don't remember it now,
What
unfortunately.
did you do?
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
cool. Well, look, guys, we better end this. We hope that we're going to see you in the near future. And listen, Link, if you're doing a gig out in Iceland, video it and send it over, and we'll stick it up, and tag us in, and we'll stick it up on our thing, so we can still see a bit of you and whatever. So, but we look forward to seeing Hive Mentality again. I said I was going to put a show on with, I think it was Hive Mentality, Pool Noodle, and another punk band. I was going to put a proper punk band on night on, so we can all get together and do a really good one.
Oh,
With
that
that.
is so what we need.
Yeah,
That is
Yeah,
so
a
we
really
what we
good
do
one.
need.
that right
Needs to be a big
Yeah.
room with lots of room to run around in and
Yes.
scream and shout.
Yes. We're all like dogs that have just been indoors for too long. We need to go to a good punk gig and run around.
That's it, yeah. Crap all over the floor.
Make a big mess.
That's it.
Make
All right,
it chaos.
guys. Well, look, Link and Ruby, thank you very much. Really enjoyed it, and keep going and keep writing, and we'll see you all soon.
Of
Okay.
course.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Like I should mention this. I'm releasing a single on the 31st of July, under the name of Grebo, which is like similar to Hive Mentality, but it's like I'm just sort of doing that because I'm bored in quarantine. So if you head over to my Instagram, you'll have more info on that. So it's called Dirty Richmond, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right, we'll put a link up for that as well. Then we'll put that in the description as well. Great stuff.
cool.
Good stuff.
Sweet.
All right, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
See you soon, hopefully.